Hi there, this is Vahid from VRF Education channel, and it is the 9th session of MongoDB tutorial. So far, we have talked about two main operations over database, insertion and query over data. And today, we are going to the next one. The third important operation is updating or data manipulation. During an application lifetime, we might need to update data that inserted via that application. So all the dbms provide a way that let developers to update data. And also MongoDB provides two different methods, updateOne and updateMany. Again, as the name implies, we use this one to find the first occurrence of a document based on some criteria and update it using the provided values. And using updateMany, we can update a couple of documents, not only one. So these are the main difference between two methods. In this session, we are going to focus on updateOne and see how we can update a single document using this method, and also the different ways that we can update fields inside the document. These are very important, and also these are common between these two methods. So in the next session, when we want to just check the updateMany, we already know a lot of things about how we can update documents inside MongoDB. Okay, let's see the signature of updateOne method. Here, DB refers to the currently activated database in mongoosh. Collection should be replaced by the name of the collection that you want to update a record in. And the updateOne method, we have it. Here we need to pass a filter. Filter is an object that using that object we're going to specify which document we're going to update. This is the same as the object that we pass for find and find one method. So they are the same, and we already know a lot about this query object. After that, we need to provide a document, again another object that contains new values for the object that will be specified by this filter method. And in the options, we can set some options such as write concerns, and I'm going to talk about write concerns in a separate session in future. And also we can set something very cool named upsert. It's very cool, and I'm going to talk about it very soon at the end of this session. So let's go to mongoosh and see how updateOne method works in practice. So here we are in mongoosh, and inside human resource DB, let's see what collections we have from the previous sessions. Yeah, we have employees. Now I'm gonna drop the employees collection, and I'm gonna insert some new items or documents inside this collection. And because this collection doesn't exist, insert many gonna create it for us. So it says I inserted 6 different documents inside this collection. Now I'm gonna change the name of the first person with the ID of 1 from John to, for example, Morgan. Let's see how we can do this. For this purpose, let's clear the screen. I'm going to say db.employees.update1. Okay, it's going to update the first occurrence of that document based on the filter object. And this time, because we use primary key underline ID, we just have one record. Now I'm going to say look for a document with the ID of 1, and then I'm gonna change the name. So for changing the name, we need to provide another document or another object. If you want to set something inside an existing field, you need to use $set. Okay, it's an update operator, so we're gonna talk about it, all of them. And then specify the name of the field that we want to update. I'm gonna change the first name to, for example, Morgan. So that's it. If I press enter, it says acknowledged true, so it means the operation done successfully. Here we have matched count 1 and modified count 1. So we only have one document with the ID of 1, and we update it successfully. And also we have something named upserted, and I'm going to talk about it very soon. Now let's query over database db.employee.find. I'm just going to call find. Now the first document first name changed to Morgan. So what we did, we just specify a way to filter data, and then we set something for this field. This is the way that we can do this. And for example, what if I mention some field that does not exist inside the document? For example, I'm going to say the location of this person is USA. So this time I'm going to set something that does not already exist in the document. In this situation, MongoDB gonna create this field or insert this field to this document. So again, it says acknowledge true, and I just matched one document and I modified one document. Now let's query over database. So you can see here we have location equals to USA, and in the other documents we don't have any location fields. So this is the beauty of MongoDB, and also the flexibility of it. It can just add anything to the document without being worried about schemas, because it's schema free. Okay, let's see what we have on update operators. I forgot to check it in the presentation. Here we have a list of update operators. Just now we checked the set operators, and we have different other type of operators. For example, inc gonna say that I'm going to add something to a specified field. Min, max, mul, and also rename. These are the different type of operators that we can use, and I'm gonna check a couple of them in this session. So let's get back here. Imagine that I'm gonna increase the salary of the person with the name of Steve by 500. So first I'm gonna say db.employees.updateOne, and then I'm looking for a man that or a document that the first name equals to Steve, and then I'm gonna increase its salary by 500. So I'm gonna use $inc, and then the field equal to salary, and the value is 500. So if you want to decrease it, you can use again $inc with the negative value. So I'm gonna press enter. Again it says match count 1 and modified count 1. Let's find it, and here we have 7,500 for Steve, and in the and before the update we have 7,000 for Steve. So it's done successfully with this notation, $inc or increment salary by 500 for this person. And also you can update multiple fields in one call. For example, I'm going to change the first name and also the email for this document, the second document, or the document with the ID of 2. So I'm going to say db.employees.updateOne. I'm going to update one document. I'm looking for a document with underlying ID of 2, and I'm going to update it with some update some of the fields. I'm going to use set, and then provide another object here, and that's it. So I'm going to say first name, for example, equal to Wahid, and email equals to rahmanifard@sunlife.com. So that's it. If I press enter again, match count 1 and modified is 2. So here you can see I updated first name and email in this document, the document with the ID of 2. And after that, let's see if I create an update command for updating any documents, or the first document that its salary equals to 7,500, for example, to 8,000. Let's see how it works. This time we have 2 records with the specified criteria, and I want to update the first one, so the second one shouldn't be tagged. So I'm going to say db.employees.updateOne, and then look for a field with the salary of 7,500 and change it. For example, set it the value of salary with, for example, 8,000. Oops. Let's see what is wrong. I forgot to put colon here. And let's query the database. Here you can see for the second field, this one. Let's see what we had before. Yeah, for the third one, we have the value of 7,500, and here for the third one we have 8,000. But for the fourth one, we didn't change anything, and it's equal to its previous value, 7,500. Okay, let's take a closer look at the other type of update operators. I'm going to use current date this time and give you another a complex example. Let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to update this one, the first record, and add two fields. First one is last modified with the current date, and also a complex object named cancellation. A cancellation object inside this one, it contains two items, date and reason. And for date, I'm going to again use current date, this time as a timestamp, and I'm going to add a reason for that cancellation, for example, that user cancellation. Also, the status of this record, I'm going to change it to D. It means deleted. So let's clear this one, and I'm going to say db.employees.updateOne. Here we are going to look for underline ID equals to 1. Let's create this one inside the notepad, and then coming here, because I'm gonna to tabify the command in order to be much more readable. So here I'm gonna say I'm looking for an object with the value of 1 for the ID, and then I'm gonna update a couple of items this time. I think it's better to do it inside VS Code. Let's cut them and close it. So this is much better. Now I'm going to use the current date update operator, current date, and here I'm going to say, okay, add a field inside the main object named last modified, for example, last modified, and then you can pass two different value for current date. First one is true. It's gonna add a current a date with the ISO format, or you can also add it using a type operator. What does it mean? I'm gonna say we need a inner object named cancellation and add a date inside that one. It equals to, here we need to specify type for our current date, and I'm going to use timestamp. Stamp, it's a timestamp, and that's it. And after that, I'm going to say set other field inside this document. First one is status. Set. I need a field name as status with the value of D inside the main object, and then inside the cancellation object, cancellation dot reason, I need a text, for example, user request, and that's it. And here I need to close the one. So this is the update query that I'm going to execute inside the mongoosh environment. Let's delete all of these ones and paste it. So it says I found a occurrence and I update it. Now let's see what we have. Let's create a query. Now as you can see, I added a status inside the main object and also last modified with the ISO date. This is the current date time of my system. And also we have a nested object named cancellation. Here again, we have a date time with the timestamp format and also a reason, a text. So we can just combine things together using this syntax. For example, we want to add date, or we want to set something, or we want to increment anything else that you want to do. You're able to do inside the updateOne method. And also from MongoDB version 4.2, we can do or we can override this command using a better way, using aggregation alternatives. For this purpose, we can write this something like this. For example, db.employees.updateOne. This time I'm looking for underline ID of 2. Okay. Oops. And I'm not going to use $current date. Instead of that, I'm going to use something else. For example, what? I'm going to say I want to set something inside the main object. So what is the? I'm going to create a last modified field with the value of $now. It's equal to using current date with the ISO format. And after that, I'm going to create a cancellation date. Cancellation, yeah, it's correct. And for that, again, I'm going to use, we have a date. This time we're going to use cluster time, cluster underline time. And for reason, let's say user request. And after that, we have another field named status. So I'm gonna specify the status equal to D. This is it. So I think it's gonna work, or maybe we need to add this into an array. Let's see what we have inside mongoosh CLS, and I'm gonna paste it. And that's it. Yeah, it works, I think. Fine. And for the second person, again, we have a cancellation object. Something went wrong. Let's change the command to something like this. See if it works or not. Okay, let's query. Yeah, this time it works. So we need to put it inside a bracket. Here we have cancellation in our object, and also last modified and status added using the ISO date. And here we have a timestamp and a reason, again inside this cancellation. So this is the way that we can use current date. Let's take a look at another one. So we just checked current date and inc. $min and max are very useful, and it says we're going to update the specified field values if the value is less than the existing field value, and this is again if the value is greater than the existing value. And also mul is something equal to inc, but this time we're going to multiply the current value with the specified amount. And rename is used for renaming field. Let's check min, max, and rename. I'm gonna change the value of object 6. So I'm gonna say db.employees.updateOne, look for object with the ID of 6, and then I'm gonna $min salary. This time I'm gonna say 8,000, a value greater than the current value. So it says nothing modified. I found one match count, but nothing updated. So what if I change it, for example, to 6,000? It says, okay, this time we have a modified count equals to 1. And if we checked it here, well, for ID 6, we have 6,000 as salary. So it's updated because the provided value is less than the existent value. And for rename, let's see that I want to change the email to email address. For this purpose, I'm going to say db.employees.update. This is somehow a structural update, not a value update. I'm going to say go over all the documents inside this collection, and this time use $rename, and as the value say I'm going to change email, for example, to email address. And it says okay, modified count 1. And because we use the updateOne, let's query the database. Just for the first one, we changed the email to email address, and for the remaining, it remains unchanged because we use updateOne. Okay, and also you can update a couple of items. For example, I'm gonna change the email address this time to email and comma first name, first name to for example F name, and do not forget, I think first name with the capital N. Yeah, the spelling should be exact the same. And if I query the database again, for the first one we have F name and email instead of email address, so we can update or rename multiple fields in one call. And what if I just used a name that does not exist? For example, we don't have any email address anymore. So if I call this method with these parameters, it says okay, match count is 1 because we have a first element of the collection, and modified count equals to 0 because we don't have any email address inside that specific document. And also we have another structural operators named onset. Onset gonna remove a field from a document. So this time I'm gonna say db.employees.updateOne and go over all the records. So it's gonna return the first one because I used updateOne, and this time I'm gonna use onset, and the value is, for example, I'm gonna remove the email address. I'm gonna say email, or you can just use the email, and the value is nothing. So I'm gonna remove it from the document. So it says modified count equals to 1. And if I query the database for the first one, we don't have email address anymore because I just removed it. And if the field does not exist, it's nothing. So it just bypassed the execution, and it's a modified count equals to 0 because we don't have any email address in order to remove it. The last update operator is set on insert. So this is a little bit tricky. Let's check upsert at first and then get back on this one, because we need to know upsert and then check this one. Upsert, it's a combination of update and insert. It says I'm going to update a record or a document based on this criteria. For example, this is nothing here. If I couldn't find a match for this criteria, so I create a new instance or a new document and insert it into this collection. So let's see what we have. db.employees.find. We only have ID from 1 to 6. Now I'm going to say db.employees.updateOne. This time I'm gonna look for underline ID equals to 7. Okay, we don't have this document inside this collection. And I'm gonna say set, for example, first name to Wahid, and also last name to Rahmani Fard. And we need to provide the third parameter here. The value should be upsert equal to true. It says okay, go and try to find a document with the ID of 7. If you find it, okay, update it and change the first name to Wahid and last name to Rahmani Fard. But if you couldn't find such record with the ID of 7, insert a new record with these values and also to this collection. Let's see what we have. Oops. It says what? Unexpected token. Yeah. We need to put another curly brace, closing curly brace here. And then let's run it. So this time it says inserted ID equals to 7 because we insert something, and we don't have any match count equals to 0, so we don't have any modification, but upserted count equals to 1. Now let's query the collection. Here, as you can see, we have a new object with the ID of 7, first name Vahid and last name equals to Rahmani Fard. So now let's go to set on insert update operators. It says if an insertion happened during the update, I'm going to add, for example, a field to that newly inserted document. So again, here I'm going to say, look for an object with the ID of 8, try to update the first name and last name with these values, and after that, I'm going to say $set on insert equals to, for example, if any insertion happened, if any insertion happened, I'm gonna, for example, have for example, login count equal to 0. This new person or employee did not enter into the system, so I had a system to count the number of login to the, for example, user area. So I'm going to close the second parameter, and we should pass upsert to true. Don't forget it. Upsert equals to true, and close the parentheses. So if I press enter, again, inserted ID is equal to 8 and upsert count equal to 1. Now let's query the database. Here you can see we have these two fields that I mentioned inside the set part of the update, and also we have a field named login count. So it's going to insert automatically if a new document should be inserted into this collection. This is how set on insert work. As it says, sets the value of a field if an update results in an insert of a document. Has no effect on update operation that modify existing document. So if we have an already existent object inside the collection that match the criteria, this part doesn't affect. So the MongoDB gonna bypass this part. These are the basic concepts about updateOne method, and this session is getting a little bit long, and in next session I'm gonna cover update many and maybe update arrays inside the documents, or maybe I just postpone it to another session. I hope you enjoyed the content, and until next session, goodbye.